welcome to Woman Witness TV Network. You are watching A Family Affair, Investing Made Easy on our Financial Fridays. Today, I have my co-host with me, Dr. Ronda Stinton Boyd. Hi, Dr. Ronda. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I am so good, Dr. Ronda. Man, you have been on the radar. People have been asking to bring you back to help answer some of these questions that kind of got hung up on our last meeting on the Woman Witness podcast. And I'm so glad that you agreed to come back. Woo!
I appreciate being asked to come back, so I am happy to be here.
Well, I'm happy to have you here. As I told you before, I have been on your phone, and you can attest to this with questions from my 13-year. I'm sorry, I don't have 13-year-old. I lied. Excuse me. From my 11, who he thinks he's 13, from my 11-year-old, all the way up to friends of mine who are married with kids, or and some who aren't anymore, and they've been asking specific questions around your episode, and that is finances.
Wow. Good.
So, um,
That's the whole point, was to get people talking.
and that is exactly what you did. So I'm glad to jump into it. So, Dr. Rhonda, as we spoke before, we are introducing your phase in your episode here on the Woman Witness TV network, which is our A Family Affair, Financial Fridays, Investing Made Easy. And this is actually the name of your most recent book.
It is. It is.
So, Dr. Rhonda, I want to thank you for bringing this to us and being able to give us a cheat code and giving us a little bit of insight on how to be financially stable in our lives and our friends' lives and our families' lives and just moving forward. So let's just jump in today's episode, if you will. Considering that my 11-year-old son was the one who pushed me towards it, we're going to start off with a very popular title today, and it's something you and I spoke about in our first interview, which was allowances.
Yes. Yes, of course the kids will be excited about it. I don't know how much parents, so parents, brace yourself. Brace yourself.
Okay, Dr. Rhonda, before I get started, and I want to ask you, everyone who is listening, who may have not gotten an opportunity to check out our last episode with Dr. Rhonda Boyd, I ask that you go back and you check it out and listen to it, and you will understand. You will get excited, just like my 11-year-old got excited, just like some really close friends of mine, and also people who are subscribers and listeners to the Woman Witness podcast who reached out to us and they wanted more from Dr. Rhonda. Dr. Rhonda, can you tell us a little bit, just tell our listeners who are listening right now about allowances and why it's so important in our lives and our children's lives, especially nowadays.
Yes, yes. So I think I started the last one out. Like, I know this is going to be really taboo because a lot of us don't feel that we should pay our kids to live in our house. And so, but that is not what it's doing. So when it comes to an allowance, in order for someone to know how to manage money, they have to have money. And our expectations is our kids going to wake up one day and they watched us do something, not sure what, watched us do something, and they're automatically going to know how to do finances. They don't teach finances in school.
No.
I remember having an economics class, but I don't think it had nothing to do with money. And so in order for our kids to understand how to manage money, how to budget, it's all great in theory. But
Yeah.
we live in a real world where they're going to actually want to go get stuff. And
Yeah.
the age they're at now is, regardless of what age your child is, it's a great opportunity to start, because then it takes from you saying no. Because we talked about that too.
Yes, we did.
It puts the power back into their hands. You don't have to tell them no when you go to the store. And you can just ask a simple question. Did you budget it? Was it budgeted with your allowance that you have now? In order to have generational wealth, each generation got to know how to manage money and what best time. Because when we gone, them kids gonna do what they want to do unless we've taught them better.
Right. 110%. You are so right about that, Dr. Rhonda. And you know what? Since our last conversation, which was almost 2 months ago, I have started down this journey. And I have friends who are wanting to start down this journey too. So I have some questions for us. Okay, so Dr. Rhonda, we talked about this. I know in our first interview together, but I'm going to act like this is our some of our listeners' first time listening to this. So I want you to tell us what are some factors that we must consider when we are determining the appropriate amount for a school age child's allowance.
One, I probably would wait until they're over 8 because
Okay.
they will be able to recognize money. They should be. So as soon as your children start recognizing colors, you should be teaching them money at
Mm,
the exact same time. We think colors are important. They're gonna pick that up anyway.
mm, mm,
But counting money is something that they need to start and recognizing coins. I
mm,
tell my kids here in the after school all the time, I'm like, you need to know this because if you go to the store and you give them a $20 bill and they give you $2 back and all you spent was $2, you just got robbed.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
don't get robbed.
Yes.
Know how to
Yes.
count your money.
Yes.
Um, and so that's one thing. Start teaching them as soon as they can recognize colors. When you start teaching them colors, the ABC, start teaching them money. The other thing is I probably wouldn't start doing an allowance until they're 8 or 9 years old.
Yeah.
10 is fifth grade, so that's third grade.
Yeah.
And one of the prerequisites around it is use their age as a guide. Like if they're 8, do $80. They get a raise, just like we get a raise. We supposed to get a raise every year.
Yeah.
So yeah. So get them in the point of giving themselves a raise because hopefully they'll see the importance of having their own business and their
Yes.
own thing versus waiting for someone to give them a nickel or dime,
Mm,
being working for somebody when they could have given themselves a raise. And so use their age as a guide. And then split it up over and I'm not saying that's each paycheck, that's a month. So
right.
it's $80 for an 8 year old for the month. So that's if you get paid twice a month, that's $40 every 2 weeks, which means you need to be sitting down and doing a budget
Mm,
with that child every 2 weeks when you give them their money. And
mm,
actually take them to the bank. Take them to the bank, let them open up a bank account so they will actually be able to deposit their money into it. I know it seems real easy for us to, a lot of us be like, well, I'm just going to cash out my kid their allowance every month. You
yeah.
can, and that is a way for them to keep up with it because
Yeah.
realistically, they're probably not going to deal with cash on a regular
Right.
basis. They're
Right.
probably not.
Uh-huh.
There's a group of, I think, is it whatever is after the X's and Y's? None of them have checkbooks
Alpha.
or cash. Yeah,
Yeah.
they all everything is electronic, and most of it is here.
Yeah.
It's not
Oh,
even
that's Gen Z.
yeah, it's not even a card. It's
No.
they're tapping. If you don't have a tap at your store, they probably not shopping there.
100%.
Yeah, and so those. Go ahead.
Dr. Rhonda, I'll tell you this in real quick. True story. I went to a friend's house and she was 2 years old. Her daughter was 2 years old. It was for her little birthday party. And I went and she had a tea set. And I walked into her restaurant and sat down with some tea and she brought me the bill. 2 years old. And I said, "Oh, I don't have any money." And you know what she asked me, Dr. Rhonda?
With your phone.
She did. She did. She said, "You have a phone?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "You can use your phone." I was like, "She's 2."
Because they coming out the womb knowing about these right here.
That's crazy.
Yes, they are coming
Okay, go
out
ahead.
the womb. And
Right.
then I also like in my book, I actually have an application.
Oh,
I need to put the application on my website so people can download it. But
yeah.
they actually have an allowance application that they need to fill out. And you may want to have them fill it out every year because what it does is they have to get reviews from
Mm,
their teachers each month in order to get their allowance. I did that because it gets them talking to their teachers.
yeah.
Of course, if they're in older grades, they have like 6 classes and 6 teachers. So they'll start off with the easiest teacher that they
Yeah.
know they'll get a good review.
Yeah.
The other thing about the application, it actually asks them what their strengths are. A lot of times our kids have a hard time trying to figure out, like, what am I good at? and they have like we can tell them all day until they believe it. It doesn't matter because we can tell them, but it makes them go through where they can start having relationships with their teachers. Because the other thing that I'm finding out is they get off to college and they don't want to talk to their teachers because guess what? Guess who's been talking to their teachers the whole time they've been in school? Us. We've been doing it. So now it gets them to start having relationships with their teachers, and they're going to their teachers for something good. And now they know that when I get down to month 6 and that teacher that I think don't like me, I'm doing things to correct that behavior in class, or at least my perspective of that teacher. So that's kind of the guidelines around the allowance.
Okay, Dr. Rhonda, that was good. That was good. Pretty sure the kids are going to lean in with this. Ladies, listen, gentlemen, if you're listening, this is so good. And I couldn't agree with you more, Dr. Rhonda. Dr. Rhonda, I want to talk to you. I want you to tell us this is going to be for me. Should the allowance amount be tied to completing the chores, or should we give it unconditionally?
Oh, that is a powerful question because we talked about this in Bible study one night. And I'm gonna say word because one of the things we don't want our kids to do is make them think that they have to actually toil and work for everything that they get. So I'm gonna come from this from 2 points because we live in a world where we know we can create what we want to say by our words.
Yes.
And so that doesn't mean you don't follow the rules or do what you're supposed to do because, I mean, in a regular job, you're not going to go to work and sit around and think you're going to get paid or don't show up and
Right.
don't get paid. So
Correct.
on the application, it actually put what chores will I perform, and it even lets them negotiate what they're going to get paid, but we're going to do it by their age anyway. But we'll see. I just want to see where their head is when it comes to negotiating their pay.
Ooh.
But yeah, so you will have to talk to them and let them know that. I mean, because they can get creative with it and pay a sibling to do it if they want to, but it still has to be done. And so, whatever they agree to, so it needs to be an agreement too. If
Okay.
you agree, so I am giving you your allowance based on the work the work that you're going to do because this is work. They're still
Right.
working.
Right.
Part of that is going to school, and the other
Yeah.
part is doing things and contributing to the household.
Right.
And so, and then cleaning up behind yourself and everything. Would they
Yeah.
be penalized? I would say that is a conversation that needs to be said up front, so
Mm.
that is not a it's not like you're taking something from them. It's
Yeah.
like, well, did you do your part of the contract? That's the thing. Did you do your part of the contract? And that's the reason why I like having the application because now you have something you can go back to. You said that these are the chores we agreed upon and when you will do them. Did
Mm.
you do them? And then you could agree that if I'm gonna give you all your money this month, but you'll owe me if I had to do any of your chores because you needed to
Yeah.
pay me to do them.
Yes. That's good, Dr. Rhonda.
So yeah, so as long as it's, I feel like if it's in writing, it's more understandable. But then when they know that there's consequences behind my, because it's your word, and that's what they need to understand is you are giving me your word that if I do this, you're going to do this. And so let's make sure that we're in agreement because I don't want to, I'm not going to break my word. So I don't want you to break your word. And it teaches them to value their word. And this is kind of off topic, off subject, not really, but them realizing their last name also, the name that they're given. Like your word is your name. And so they need to understand that it goes way beyond us in this household. When you're out in the world, if you tell somebody you're going to do something, then do it. When's the better way to teach our kids that?
Now, right now. Oh, that's good. I can take that and run a lot of different ways with it, but I'm not going to. Are there any specific guidelines or strategies for teaching our children about budgeting and spending their allowance wisely? We talked about this, I believe, in our first episode.
We did, and basically, it's well, it would be the guidelines that you want to hold in your household. I can't speak for everybody's household. Like from my household, it is give to God your 10%,
Yeah.
then savings or investing.
Yeah.
And then now it's like, okay, so what are some of your basic needs that you need? Or
Yeah.
what are some things that you want? Because no one dictates to us how we spend our money. We have bills, and that's the reason why it's sort of dictated. But we could be sitting in the house with no lights on and spend our
Yeah.
money however we want to.
That's true.
And so,
That's true.
and the goal is to give them a little bit of freedom, but real world. And
Yeah.
so, if you have, and especially if they're asking for things. So, if you got a sneakerhead in your house, look, you want those sneakers? That need to be in your budget.
Yes.
And you can spend all of it at once. And you can hold on to the first one and the second one and go buy it and not do any with that because that's what you decided to do. But now when we go out to eat, if I'm, if you want me to stop on the way from school and that was not in my plan, in my budget, then we're not doing that because you had money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they really got to look back. And it'll take, I really truly believe it'll probably take about 2 or 3 months
Yes.
before you'll get into a cycle of them realizing,
This
oh,
is
wait a
my
minute. Yeah. And I can only spend it once. It's going to take
right.
them a while to figure that out. There's some adults that don't realize that.
Right. Right. Right.
Can only spend it once.
Yes. I like that so much. Man, I could run so many ways with that. And because you're absolutely right. I will just say this: what you said, that it will take some time for our children to really grasp on to what's going on. And yes, they do not mind spending your money. And I love the fact, since I met you and we introduced this allowance to them, like you said, it's taking some time. It's work, right? Because I still have to say, no, you can't ask me to buy all your stuff because that's not in my budget. And I say that now. It is not in my budget to bring, we're not going to McDonald's, we're not going to Wendy's because we just went yesterday. I'm not going to go, every time you decide that you want to do that. If you want to go, you spend your money. Oh, I don't want to spend my money. Well, then we ain't going.
Then we ain't going. I know
Then
we
you
went,
go to the house.
we took all my grandkids to Houston, and my grandson got blessed with $100 for his birthday.
Mm.
And we're in Buc-ee's. I don't know if anybody know about Buc-ee's. That's something big in
Yeah.
Houston. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
In there, well, no, we went to a place to eat, and he wanted crawfish.
Ooh.
And it wasn't like this little place that had little different restaurants.
Yeah.
Like one plate was 55 and the other one was 33. So,
Ooh.
where your money at?
Uh-huh.
I don't want to spend my money. And I was like, I don't want to spend mine either.
Right.
I'll even go half on you, 15
Yeah.
and 15, and you get it. I would
Yeah.
even do that. And he was like, no, I'm just going to hold on to it for some. Cool.
Okay.
But it makes them think differently. When it's their money.
This is good, Dr. Rhonda. This is good and it's so important. And that's why I'm so excited that we're having this conversation, because I think a lot of us parents are there now. And when our kids are now thinking and when they're acting as if they can't live without it, but when they find out that they have to pay for it, oh, they fine now. Fine now. They good. What are some effective ways to encourage children to save portions of their allowance?
Budgeting. Budget. Saving is a habit, just like tithing. Well, tithing really ain't supposed to be a habit. It's supposed to be obedient. But it becomes a habit. Like I remember, my first introduction really to money was my father having us. Now mine came from a tipping point, but we also gave in church. But it was to figure out what is 10% of the bill at a restaurant. And that's how I figured, with percentages and things like that. If we don't teach it, if we don't have them sit down it needs to be a lesson around it, or even a story from you of why you tithe, why do you save, and then even go back in their history, because sometimes our stories are, we're adults, we can do whatever. They don't want to hear that. But go back into theirs, like, do you remember when you wanted the PS3?
Yeah.
Now, your allowance now wouldn't be able to get you that, but if you
Right.
save portions of it, by this time Christmas, you can get a brand new one if you wanted to. Like, put it in real terms for them, and that comes
Yeah.
with maybe sitting down and saying, so what do you really want? Like,
Yeah.
what do you want for, what's that big
That's
item
good.
you want for Christmas?
Yeah.
And then now let's go see how much it is
How much
now,
it costs.
how much it costs. Then let's break it down. This is how much you need to save for Christmas, because I might not get it for you. Wouldn't you
Mm,
like to get it yourself? If I can't get it for you,
yeah.
I mean, or I don't want to give it for you, because it's
Right.
like
Right. Right.
it goes both ways. Like, I might not want to. I might want to do a smaller Christmas. I might want to do, and let's go somewhere for Christmas.
Yeah.
But you still want some stuff. So now let's figure out. So you can approach it from that direction. But it
Yeah.
does come sitting down. Those should be the first two items on their budget, is
How much is
tithing if you're a believer, and
right.
saving.
Right. Oh, Dr. Rhonda, you're so good at this. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay, so I love this takes away. I'm not even asking next question because I want some of us who are listening, and believe me, if you're listening and you kind of feel like, oh my God, I don't even know where to start. Trust me, that was me too. And one of the things that Dr. Ron and I realized too, within our first conversation, our first follow up was it has to be if you are in a marriage and you're in a relationship, it has to be a conversation you probably should have with your significant other first and then introduce it to your child because like I told Dr. Rhonda, by the time my children seen the episode and I talked to him, I mean my husband, he we had to play catch up with him um, because he was like, hold on, wait a minute, I'm not paying these kids to do nothing. But it has to be it has to be both people need to be on board, one, and then two, Dr. Rhonda has resources for us to look into and to use in our families, and I love the application. So, and she has the book. So we're going to put all of this in the description below. We talked about also, I want to just cover some of the questions that I have that Dr. Rhonda already covered. We talked about the increase, and I love the fact that they can actually advocate for their increase on their application as far as getting a raise. So I love that. Are there any potential pitfalls or mistakes that parents should be mindful of when implementing this allowance plan for their children, despite the one I just mentioned about making sure your significant other's on board?
Yes, make sure they're on board. To avoid any mistakes or pitfalls
Yes.
is actually sitting and having conversations. It's actually sitting down with your child and doing a budget. If you're just throwing money at them because, oh, they listen to this podcast, they're going to learn how to manage money. No, like, that's kind of what happened to most of us. We went and got a job and somebody threw money at us.
Yeah.
And so we was like, okay, well, I got bills to pay. I guess I'll use it for that.
Right.
So
Right.
because they don't have bills, it's going to be really having a conversation, really sitting down and saying, okay, what do you want? And a lot of times that's going to be a hard question. And you might have to phrase it as, if you wanted me to buy you anything in the world, what would it be? Then they'll tell you,
Oh,
because
that's
they think
good.
you're using your money,
Yes.
not theirs.
Yes.
So to avoid
Yes.
a lot of the mistakes, make sure that you're sitting down at least twice a month, but and maybe weekly, to find out where they're at. Because see, they might have budgeted for 2 weeks, like, $40 don't go on whole. That's $20 a week. Now, if it's a small person, 9 times out of 10, they move in with you. They're
Yeah.
not going to the store by themselves. They might not be going over anybody's friend's house, so they're moving with you, so you can kind of dictate what they have, what they have.
There's
But
online now, Dr. Rhonda.
is what
Online.
online, yeah. So yeah, because
Yeah.
between Sheen, what is it, Shein, and some other places these kids know about, and then even the games have
The
money.
games. Yes.
And so that would be the other reason of using cash versus
Yeah.
using the card. or
Yeah.
doing half and half because the card gives them access. They can't put
Mm,
cash inside of the computer.
mm,
So
mm, good.
that's one thing to think about. And see, I don't
Yeah.
even think about the stuff that's online that they can buy, except my grandkids send me links to their
Yes,
stuff.
that's what Mom, if you're listening, you're not the only one.
Yeah. So
Okay, so Dr. Rhonda, this was so good, and I believe that this definitely helped me. This blessed me, and I know that there are a lot of moms who are listening, moms, parents who are listening, and this might be a scary subject for you. This might be something that you say, "No, I don't know how," or maybe I have more questions. We get it that this is a small, 30-minute, 20 to 30-minute episode that we are not going to be able to cover everything. But rest assured that Dr. Rhonda is open. She has a website. She has a way for you to reach out to her. We will put it in the description below. This is what it's all about. We expect you to have more questions. I had more questions, and we expect you to have hurdles and need extra help getting over. And that's what Dr. Rhonda specializes in, and that's what she wants to help you with. So we will leave that information in the description below that you will be able to go reach out to her and throw some of these questions at us. Perhaps maybe we'll revisit this episode if the need is there. We'll be coming to you every Fridays with a financial status, with a financial topic that will speak to everyone in every particular stage of life that you are in. So if you have any specific topics that you would like us to cover, we ask that you just reach out to us in the description below that you can reach out to us, or you can always reach out to info@womanwitness.com, and we will get it over to our Financial Fridays team and we will get your topic going. So, Dr. Rhonda, before we get out of here, did I cover everything that we wanted to talk about that our Financial Fridays will entail?
no, I think you covered it, and that it will be from every age. I love that you did that. That it'll be from every age, no matter how old. There's going to be somebody. If it's not for you, it's somebody that's close in your circle needs to hear it. And so, yes, so, but yeah, I love that people are chiming in. I'm glad that people had actual questions from the first episode that they wanted to know more because when we start having these types of conversations, we disrupt everything that's going on when it comes to finances with us as a people and us as families that this is the generation. And the one thing that I would lead to everybody is yes, you are the one. If you're listening to this, you are the one that will change generations. It's not the your mama should have done it or your daughter will do it. You are the one. So embrace you being the one and be okay with it. That you want to disrupt. You want to leave a legacy. You want things to be different whether you're here or not.
Whew, that's so true. Dr. Rhonda, she always comes through with that advice. Thank you so much, Dr. Rhonda. We'll be here again. Look for us, look for episodes every Friday on A Family Affair. Financial Fridays, Investing Made Easy with Dr. Rhonda. So until next time, ladies, gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Dr. Rhonda, thanks. Bye.